How are you doing? Later on, switch on TV. They give me the news, they give half truths to me. They give us wise, they feed us lies. How are we doing? With your case and fabricate, and we sit back till it's too late.
The Radio Avenger.
Rick Adams is on. Well. Here we are, folks, tonight. We're back here tonight, Thursday night, and it is the 29th of August. Wending our way throughout the end of summer, and a summer perhaps of more bloodshed planned indeed. The scriptures tell us in the Old Covenant, that they shall put aside their war plans, and there will be no more war. And they shall turn their weapons into plowshares, their swords. Well, that time is not upon us. No, only He can bring that time. Only He can bring about that period of peace, not only to Jerusalem, but to the whole world. Meanwhile, the synagogue of Satan and men plot to make war because, as we know from history, and we'll hear the words again of General Smedley Butler tonight, war is a very, very profitable venture. But in the meantime, let me begin with this little rendition.
Let there be no more war or bloodshed. Let there be no more war or bloodshed. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more despair. Let there be no more despair or lust of faith. Let there be no more despair or lust of faith. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more war. Let there be no more war. Let there be no more war or bloodshed. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more despair. Let there be no more despair or lust of faith. Let there be no more war or bloodshed. Or bloodshed. Or bloodshed. Or bloodshed. Or bloodshed. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more despair or lust of faith. Let there be no more war or bloodshed. Or bloodshed. Or bloodshed. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more despair or lust of faith. Let there be no more war or bloodshed. Or bloodshed. Or bloodshed. Let there be no more despair or lust of faith. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more war or bloodshed. Let there be no more suffering or denial of right. Let there be no more despair or lust of faith. Let there be no more war or bloodshed.
All right, that tells it all, doesn't it, huh? Okay, up on YouTube, of course, that is one of the anti-war renditions, and there are many up there going back to World War I, of course. But, folks, that time has not come. That time is not here. And we're not going to see an end to war as long as Satan and the world system are under his control. As long as these things are what they are, and we're living in the time of Satan's angelic reign, the angelic conflict, there can be no real peace. Nevertheless, what if those servicemen and women and those folk that are actually manning these destroyers out there in the Persian Gulf and out there in the Mediterranean, waiting to cast that first missile, that Tomahawk missile, that cruise missile, at a few 100,000, $1 million a pop? Well, what if they said we won't do it? We're not going to follow unconstitutional, immoral orders. What if? What if they put their Christian obligation first? They put their obligation to God first. Well, that would make Satan pretty angry, wouldn't it? Sure would. It would make him very angry. Because Satan depends on war. There would be no wars unless my children, my sons, want them. Unless they order war. So said Mrs. Rothschild. Friends, it's just that simple. You can talk till you're blue in the face. You can argue back and forth all about who used what gas and what chemicals, and that can go on from now until the very end of this age. But none of it begins to address the real issues. They're all peripheral issues. They're all side issues. Fact of the matter is, as long as war racks up the big bucks for some and makes trillions for some, there will be war. No matter what country on Israel's hit list, no matter what nation is targeted, and we know that a host of nations now have been targeted by the PNAC group since the late 1900s. It doesn't matter which, there will be war. No matter what the public wants, no matter what the public doesn't want, there will be war. One way or another. One way or another. We remember Warburg's words quite well. You will have world government, folks. Whether you want it or not, whether by conquest or consent, it will be given to you. You have nothing to say about it. All you have to do is give us your sons, your daughters, your souls, your life savings, your property, your wealth. We'll take care of the rest. We'll keep you safe. We'll make you safe and secure. And that's what they promise. But if those men and women said, nope, we won't lob missiles today. Instead, we will lob them at Jerusalem. Instead, we will wage war if the top brass at the Pentagon reversed orders and said, hey, wait a minute, we know where the enemy is. We know where the real enemy of not only the United States is, but the real enemy of the entire planet. It's right there where that bad fig was planted, that tree, in 1948. Let's lop a few missiles there. And then we can calculate the response. Israel said it's on high alert, ready for any eventuality. And Andrea Mitchelstein said, what if Iran attacks poor little innocent, kind-hearted, besieged Israel? Israel says, we will respond, and that we shall. So who wants war? Who is responsible for war? Very obvious, isn't it, folks? Who makes the money off of it? All right, you ain't heard the end of it yet. We'll come right back with Rick Adams, Uncensored.
The New World Order thought police are on the run.
because Rick Adams is back on the Republic Broadcasting Network.
Yeah, here I am tonight, folks. Here I am.
Maybe it's time I was moving on.
Nope.
They wouldn't let you quit even if you wanted to.
That's right, folks. The people say stay. And here I am, staying right now, for the time being, until it's time to move along. Bring my 6 shooters with me, folks. Well, anyway, you remember that song, the country's in the very best of hands? Well, here, I've resurrected it again. Come on, folks. Come on, bring it up. Bring it up, gents. Little Abner, here we go. Come on.
And I can tell you all this much, the country's doing just fine. Right, Sam? You is so right, boy. Them city folks and we'uns are pretty much alike. Oh, they ain't used to living in the sticks. We don't like stoners, seamen, but we is in agreement. When we get down to talking politics, the country's in the very best of hands. The best of hands. The best of hands. The Treasury says the national debt is climbing to the sky, and government expenditures have never been so high. It makes a feller get a gleam of pride within his eye to see how our economy expands. The country's in the very best of hands.
That's right. Hold your horses. Okay, folks. Enough. Okay. Well, folks, Smedley Butler was quite a guy. And, he died on the eve of World War II and the debacle that would follow. He warned against World War II. He spoke out against World War II. He was in World War I. And he was a vociferous, articulate man. But he was too articulate and I guess a little bit too much to bear for the synagogue of Satan, that's for sure. No question about it. He was quite a guy, quite a man, and his legacy should live on today.
From 1898 until 1931, participating in military actions in the Philippines, China, Central America, the Caribbean, and France during World War I. Butler achieved the rank of Major General, and at the time of his death was the most decorated Marine in U.S. history, having received 16 medals, 5 of which were for heroism, including the Congressional Medal of Honor, twice. War is a racket, a speech delivered in 1933. War is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one international in scope. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. A racket is best described, I believe, as something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. Only a small inside group knows what it is about. It is conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes. In the World War I, a mere handful garnered the profits of the conflict. At least 21,000 new millionaires and billionaires were made in the United States during the World War. That many admitted their huge blood gains in their income tax returns. How many other war millionaires falsified their tax returns? No one knows. How many of these war millionaires shouldered a rifle? How many of them dug a trench? How many of them knew what it meant to go hungry in a rat-infested dugout? How many of them spent sleepless, frightened nights ducking shells and shrapnel and machine gun bullets? How many of them parried a bayonet thrust of an enemy? How many of them were wounded or killed in battle? Out of war, nations acquire additional territory if they are victorious. They just take it. This newly acquired territory promptly is exploited by the few, the self-same few who wrung dollars out of blood in the war. The general public shoulders the bill. And what is this bill? This bill renders a horrible accounting. Newly placed gravestones, mangled bodies, shattered minds, broken hearts and homes, economic instability, depression and all its attendant miseries, backbreaking taxation for generations and generations. For many years as a soldier, I had a suspicion that war was a racket. Not until I retired to civilian life did I fully realize it. Now that I see the international war clouds gathering as they are today, I must face it and speak out. Again, they are choosing sides. France and Russia met and agreed to stand side by side. Italy and Austria hurried to make a similar agreement. Poland and Germany cast sheep eyes at each other, forgetting for the nonce their dispute over the Polish corridor. The assassination of King Alexander of Yugoslavia complicated matters. Yugoslavia and Hungary, long bitter enemies, were almost at each other's throats. Italy was ready to jump in, but France was waiting. So was Czechoslovakia. All of them are looking ahead to war. Not the people, not those who fight and pay and die, only those who foment wars and remain safely at home to profit.
All right, let me just stop there. Now, who are those people? Who are those people, ultimately, that wait at home, that sit in their ivory towers, that ring up the cash register or the shekels? Well, I tell you, it's not the stupid politicians generally, okay? They're dumb enough to be the mouthpieces of this orchestrated, series of events leading into war. They're only too proud to go with the prevailing winds. But they don't ultimately profit anywhere as nearly as the real war profiteers who foment war, who profit directly and indirectly from the manufacture of the munitions of war, and those who finance war through debt. And they are the sons of Cain, my friend. They are the synagogue of Satan. War is their business. It is their racket. Bloodshed is all they know. So Revelation 18:5, we know they are responsible for the blood not only of the prophets of God who warned against them, who fought against them, of the saints of God, of the Lord God, Yahweh, Yeshua, Yamashiach, but in fact of all those slain upon the earth. That is the Rothschild cabal, the Schiff cabal, the Carnegie cabal, the Mellons, all of the others as well. Some of them I haven't even begun to mention, but we've mentioned them before. They constitute the synagogue of Satan, Satan's way, war, bloodshed, stealing, rape, murder, pilfering. And here we are today being entreated to the same formula over and over and over again. Over and over again. Why? Because it works. You can deceive all of the people some of the time, and some of the people all of the time, but you can't fool everybody all the time. But leave it to Bill O'Reilly to try. Bill O'Reilly and the two generals, which of course were arguing with him on this whole point of war in Syria. Listen to what O'Reilly says quickly now. O'Reilly lets the cat out of the bag right here.
From what I understand, Colonel, what I understand, Israeli intelligence, Doctors Without Borders, and U.S. intelligence now all say that Assad has a cache of these weapons and used them. Now,
you heard it from Bill O'Reilly's big fat mouth. Israeli intelligence, first and foremost. Yep. How did I funk it? How in the world did I funk it? Well, here he is admitting it, very, very casually. And how many others are admitting it? That Israeli intel and the PNAC group and the Amen chorus in America particularly and in Europe are singing that tune all over again. Weapons of mass destruction. He's killed his own people. He's gassing them. He's using the weapons of mass destruction. And who knows, there may even be gas chambers found next. My friend, it's all too surreal. But the truth will lie. Be right back. Indeed.
Buzzards have control.
we might as well face it.
Yeah, they do, but we do too, folks. We're here tonight, and we're not giving in. We're not giving up. We're just standing up, and those who will not take a stand, as the man said, deserve to take a fall. You know what's interesting about this whole affair here today is, as you know, America is burning to the ground like Rome. And we have these very interesting, very convenient wildfires across America now, engulfing a number of the states. And it has been reported that military drones have been drafted, pardon the pun, to tackle these massive Yosemite wildfires. Isn't that interesting? And here you were thinking, boy, that Rick Adams, boy, I'm telling you, he's got some good points. No. We need those military drones because you never know when. You never know when they'll be used in civilian domestic affairs here in America to help us, to help solve our crises that are occurring daily and by the hour, by the minute. So we're hearing about these unmanned military predator drones, similar to those which have been used to kill people in Afghanistan and Yemen, all over the world, including the Middle East and Pakistan as well. How they have been called into duty to battle these fires raging in California and are scorching the area almost as large as New York City, we're told. So here we are cursing these drones, and wouldn't you know it, the Pentagon, the U.S. government, has now been able to put them to such beneficial use to help us, to spare us, to bring peace and safety to our nation. Wouldn't you know it? Just when you thought that Rick Adams had another fine point about drone abuse and about how every weapon that has been developed has been put to use in some war or some way, here we have some positive news. This drone is providing data directly back to the federal government, directly back to the commanders at large, allowing them to make quick decisions as to which resources and to deploy and where these spokesmen might need them so they can direct them. See, previously now all these crews have been tackling this blaze with these helicopters, on helicopters. And quite frankly, they thunk it up. They actually thunk it up. The drone can be put to more domestic use. You know, we read about police using drones and utility companies using drones and all sorts of private companies, public and private, putting them to beneficial use. But now we've got some great ideas for greater increased domestic surveillance, domestic firefighting, domestic crisis intervention. My goodness. Now, wouldn't it have been nice if we just had some drones? Maybe we had some drones that could have killed those Zionic boys dead on the spot there in Boston, wherever they were. We could have said, well, here they are, as we were told. They're right there on Boylston Street. They're in the parade route. Patriots Day. Let's drone them. And let's drone all their friends, too. And let's go and dig them up, find them at their university dorms and wherever they may live. We could just Skype them and scoop them and drone them and kill them and find them, as Obama said. Remember, he said we were going to kill Al-Qaeda and find them after we killed them during those debates going back to the first election. Well, folks, if it wasn't so tragic, this would be funny. This would actually be funny. But it is not funny. It is tragic. The warfare state has climaxed. Yeah. We have reached the point of virtually no turn, no reversal, and no turning back. Wesley Clark admits it. These wars that have been planned, we planned them a long time ago. We did it with the synagogue of Satan. We knew what we were doing. We set about to do it, and now we're doing it. So what are you going to do about it? Who cares? You know, we go back to Clinton, we can go back to Papa Bush, we can go back to all the wars that we fought under Jimmy Carter, and Ronald Reagan in Central America, and it doesn't matter. But NBC said tonight that they had just managed to interdict, they interdicted some very damaging information on the eve of the departure of the UN inspection team that just happens to point to Assad's brother, who definitely can be linked to this chemical attack on the civilians. It just so happens we've got the evidence now. Can't reveal the source, can't show it, but we got it. Come on, Judith Miller, move over. Come on back now. You'll take a spell now, won't you? It doesn't matter, folks, does it? We can justify or not justify war, but it doesn't matter what the public wants. In World War I, it was the same. After World War I, the people had become so, quote, isolationist, because they were fed up with depression, fed up with war, brought to them by the same synagogue of Satan. Though they were unaware as to who was pulling the strings, well, they had enough savvy and enough sense to know something was wrong. They had men, fortunately, on the radio, I guess the precursor to us in Father Coughlin and a few others, who were telling them who was responsible for the evils of the day. Setting brother against brother, wars in Europe, bringing America into greater conflict, destroying her independence, her neutrality. Yeah, they had no excuse if they listened. But then the voices of hate came about. And the ADL and all of those other groups, private and public, began to hound those men like Coughlin and others off the air. Even the Pope got involved. Even the Vatican got involved and took them down. Took them down because of the powerful, satanic elite. So people said, no more wars. We're not going to go back to war. We're in depression. Sound familiar? Sound familiar, folks? The synagogue of Satan? The Kenites? Same time, same place, over and over and over and over again. There's nothing new under the sun, the scriptures tell us. So here we are, 60 or 70 years later, and it's the same thing. People don't want any more war. They've had enough. But we have our ways of bringing them about. We control the reins of media. We control the reins of communication. We can plant a thought in your mind, show an image on a screen that would get you all angry, all upset, and then justify another war. Yep, they've done it time and again. All they need to do is demonize a man, a leader, a country, a people, or the Lord, and then stir the pot, and then take a poll. And if the poll doesn't bring the results, it's all right, we ignore the poll. We just go on to a higher plateau of hate, a higher plateau of disinformation, a higher plateau of propaganda. And we bring it about, whether you like it or not. Warbird, we will bring it to you, whether by consent or conquest. So, folks, you know the drill. There's no excuse for that. You have to understand these things must take place. But the end is not yet, and their end is not yet. And it shall come. It shall come like a thief in the night when they least expect it. For we're told that in Scripture. Be therefore ready. For in an hour when ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. The Son of Man cometh. There's nothing new. Like a thief in the night, these things will happen. Overnight. Peace can be turned into war, and war back into peace, and then war again. War for peace, for war for peace. Now, we're in the Third World War scenario. And once again, as General Butler said, forces on each side are lining up. Only now we have the UN. And the UN is actually, again, a vestige of that same synagogue of Satan. Same scenario, different orchestration, same results. We'll come right back, folks. I'll take a call or two. Rick Adams, Uncensored, here on RBN.
Get back at 'em with Rick Adams, the Radio Avenger, on the Republic Broadcasting Network.
All right.
I'm my own man. You better remember to be that, even when it's unpopular.
That's right. And here I am, folks. It's unpopular to say what I'm saying, but I'm saying it one way or another, on one forum or another. I will be around until the time of the end. And then really things will get underway, let me tell you. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because we do have a few calls here. I would like to take them. Just point out nodisinfo.com, of course, constantly under attack. But nevertheless, some incredible video, incredible news about Syria and the forging of this false alliance, the Britain dropping out right now. Of course, John Boehner making a few noises. He's getting a lot of flack back home, but people are tired, they're angry, they're upset, just as they were on the eve of World War II, and the provocation was set up with Japan. So, get ready. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Nevertheless, nodisinfo.com has some also incredible stories about Adam Lanza being found alive, and his father. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about that maybe tomorrow night with Dr. K. But right now, let me take some calls, starting with Barb, I believe, first. Hello, Barb.
Yeah, hi, Rick.
Good evening.
I attended 2 town hall meetings last night, and I'll want to squeeze in as much info as I can. The first one was a dog and pony show with Frankel, Hastings, and Deutsch. Deutsch is my congressman.
Yeah.
And I was with a group called Floridians for Immigration Enforcement out front. We held signs and so forth. But it was a hostile reception, the various people that went in. And one lady, Haitian lady, had a button on, the new majority. She said, we're all human. Anyway, there were 47 different organizations, NGOs, groups of attorneys, and different ones as endorsers or sponsors of this thing. So it was all prearranged. And luckily, Phyllis Lavley from Eagle Forum had sent an alert that this was going to take place, or I never would have known. I left that one and went over to the high school to where Deutsch did his town hall. And, of course, the first thing out of his mouth is how Assad has slaughtered 100,000 of his own people. And, of course, I didn't yell out loud, what a lie. There were police officers in every corner of the room.
I'm sure.
well-armed.
Yeah.
And on and on and on he answered. He had a stack of 100 questions that people put on, little cards, and it was just a lot of BS on the.
Well, I mean, we know that. The only thing they understand ultimately is precious metal, lead. You know what I'm trying to communicate. I mean, the fear of being taken down one way or another is all they understand. Now they have 2 masters, and Jesus said you can't serve 2. You'll either love the one and hate the other, or vice versa. Now they know who the power master is. Jesse Helms found that out in the 80s when he started attacking Israel's invasion of Lebanon, and they organized a committee to get him out, and he turned around pretty fast. So you're either going to have to obey them or obey your constituents in this world. But you have a choice, and they make the wrong choice most of the time. because they know where the money is and they know where the power base is. You see? They're all hoovering after that beast.
Yeah,
okay, Barb. Anything else? Go ahead. Just make it quick. I got to take other calls.
I only wish I'd asked the question, why do our congresspeople and senators go to Israel to be vetted? I really missed an opportunity there.
Well, you didn't expect an honest answer, though, did you now? All right. Okay, thank you, Barb. All right, Frank. Hello, come on up.
Wow, she just said it right there. Why do they have to go to Israel to be vetted? This is in this one Marine's record I knew for meritorious service for a superior performance of duty. This Marine consistently demonstrated industriousness, dedication, and a diligent attitude in the performance of his tasks. He displayed steady perseverance, concentrated effort, and an optimistic outlook when faced with difficult and constantly changing tactical situations. His irrepressible tenacity generated enthusiasm within the platoon and contributed to the company's combat effectiveness and consistently high level of performance. Now, Clown Boy's outstanding efforts, loyal devotion to duty, and professionalism have reflected great credit upon himself, this organization, and the United States Marine Corps. Now, that guy who received that commendation was a nobody. He still is, but he does listen regularly to your broadcast. I happen to know that, and I tip my hat to him. But because I want people to know that not all quote-unquote anti-war people are liberals. I know you have hopefully you have a lot of new listeners listening to your show, a lot of people that have just gotten out of the military. They're looking around. They're desperate for the truth. If anything, I'm a right-winger. But General Smedley Butler was right, and the entire time I was in the Marines, I never heard of him. But that's no surprise to anyone, right?
No, not surprising at all. They purged the textbooks, they changed the codes, and, there's so much that went on in the 50s and 60s and the post-war years to deal with the military and change it, and we've been over that a few times in the past, and maybe if we have time, we'll go over it again. But, yeah, this is it's nothing new under the sun syndrome, Frank. It's just using a different day, a different time, but the same lies over and over again. But now the people have reached the point where they're turning against the one world system. And when they do that, when they turn against it, then the forces of hell are going to be unleashed upon this country like you've never seen, because they hold the key to their bank accounts, they hold the key to their financial status, they hold the key to everything in debt. And you're borrowing more money than you're spending, and you're borrowing 51% of the money you spend. They're in control, and they can burst that bubble whenever they want to.
And Rick, I believe they have nukes planted all over the United States.
They have the suitcase bombs. They have other micro nukes, undoubtedly. Yeah.
I'm sure they have a scorched earth policy.
Oh yeah,
no doubt.
They've got all the options, my friend. This is what I've been telling people, and you need to, find refuge. And the only one I can tell you to is God, because this is a ungodly war. Satan and God. I mean, they're duking it out, but we've got angels on our side too, and we need to recognize and acknowledge and praise them. Amen. Okay, let me move on, Frank. Thank you, Terry. You're up next. Terry, been trying to get through a long time, I know. How you doing?
Hey, Rick. I'll keep it short. Okay, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I think I nearly pulled a stomach muscle. I was laughing so hard when you mentioned that I find gas chambers. I'm so familiar with
I wasn't being facetious, Terry.
No, I know, Rick, but the way you finessed the humor, before that pitch even left your hand, I knew it was a curveball. I knew it was coming, and I swung at it, and I was just laughing so hard. I knew this was just typical, waiting for you to say something like that, and I could just see those things coming out of your lips before they even leave. But anyway, quick. You mentioned many times in that, because time is running short, of course I have so much to say, in that whole discourse in John 18, where Pilate is talking to Christ. You've mentioned that many times, what is truth?
Yes.
Okay. If you back up a few verses, there's some more really revelatory information, which I thought really leapt out at me the other day, when Pilate's asking Christ. This goes back to a theme that you've been talking about all through, sort of consciously, unconsciously. The enablers, all these people. He asked, "Are you the King of the Jews?" And Pilate asked Jesus Christ if he's the King of the Jews. And Jesus' response is, "Are you saying this on your own initiative, or did others tell you about me?" And you know what he's saying there in his gentlemanly fashion, the way that he would do it?
Go ahead, say it.
He was asking that question back. He was telling Pilate in the most gentlemanly fashion, you're just a yes man. You're just a yes man. That's all you are.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly the context.
These yes men, enablers and yes men.
They goaded the crowd. They were, shall we say, stirring up the hate, stirring up the chorus of crucify him, and they're doing the same thing now, only America today has become their proxy for almost 150 years now, domestically and internationally. They've got us killing each other. They had us doing that in the 1800s, and they're doing it on a worldwide scale since World War I. They're masters of it, Terry. They're masters of death and destruction, these Kenites, and, we need to just expose them, and he will take care of the rest for us, won't he?
Yep.
All right. Unfortunately, I'm out of time tonight, Terry. I'm glad I could sneak you in. I'm sorry for the others on the line there, Fred and others, whoever's out there. We just didn't have time. God willing, we'll be back again tomorrow night, same time, same channel. And until then, Rick Adams, Yahweh bless the elect. Good night.
John Stettmiller here. Gives me great pleasure